Hello there, in this video we're going to check out how to build shadows for our design system style guide. So let's do this. Okay, welcome back to our file. So what I'm going to do in the first instance is create a new page, and we'll create this for our shadows. There we go. And let's just, well, for now let's just copy the spacing page frame here. Let's just paste that on here, and let's just delete that content there. Let's update this to shadows. So we've got a heading. Let's do the same here for the frame. Okay, so you're probably thinking, why do I need shadows? Now, shadows in UI design are really useful to create depth, enhance the hierarchy, improve focus on certain elements, separate elements for clarity, make things feel tactile and real, and also just makes it feel aesthetically more pleasing when you're interacting with certain elements. So for example, if you hovered an element, so you could give that element a little bit more depth and feel a bit more interactive when you add shadows to it. Okay, so there are a few ways to approach doing shadows. There is a previous video that I've created that I'll link on a card above to do with this plugin, which is called Beautiful Shadows. And what you can do here is you can control a light source, you can move it around to control the shadow. You can also control the brightness here, so you can control how intense the shadow is. And I guess as you move that light source, the shadow moves as well. It's a really good plugin. Like I say, I'll link a card above so you can check out that video, but it's very simple to use. So what I want to do here is create a small, medium and large shadow that we can use across our components in our design system. Alright, so what I want to do first, let's draw out a frame inside here. Let's just make it 300 by 300 for now. That should be big enough. Let's give it a fill color of neutral and make that neutral 0. Okay, so let's start off by establishing what our shadows are going to look like. So we're going to effects, we're going to click on the plus. That applies drop shadow by default in my case. I'm going to click on this square, which is the effect settings. So for the small, I want, let's have a look. So the position 0 is fine. I think the Y of 4 should be fine. Let's make a blur of 8. Let's just shift out of there. Spread can be 0. I think for the color, if we go back into our colors page, let's just use this color here, neutral 900, so 070714. So if we go back here, 070714, and we use that at 25% of that color, just for now, just so we're using a design system color. And obviously you can play around with these units as you want to customize them for your system. For now, I'm happy with that. We'll go with that for the small shadow. Let's just duplicate this and let's just adjust the container so it goes left to right, 24 pixels between. Okay, so for medium shadows, I just want to increase it slightly. So let's go to, yeah, should be the Y. So let's just increase the Y slightly to 8. And I want to also increase the blur as well. Let's just double that and go to 16. Makes that shadow a little bit bigger. And now for the large, just duplicate that again. Go back into our shadow settings. We're going to use 0 is fine for the X. For the Y, we're going to double that. So let's go to 16. And for the blur, we're going to go to 24. Happy to leave the spread as it is, and the color remains the same. Okay, so let's click off. Okay, so that can be our set of shadows for now. So we've got a small, medium and large. It's probably useful to put small, medium, large within these frames. So let's just select that. Let's just press Shift A and let's just adjust and make sure the typography is using, make sure that's using the right font families. Okay, that should be fine for now. Let's just copy and paste that. Call that medium. Let's press Shift A. Let's copy and paste that. That can be large. Shift A, and there we go. Just tidy up my layers panel as well. Alright, so that's good. That was nice and easy. Didn't take very long at all. So let's look at applying some variables to our shadow, and let's go into the variables panel. So I'm going to click off. I'm going to click onto local variables, going to click on the more options here and create a collection. Just going to rename that to shadows, if I can spell correctly. There we go. Okay, so let's start off with a number. So for shadows, we've got an X, a Y, a blur, and a spread. So let's do this as the X. Just copy and paste that. That can be the Y. Let's copy and paste. And that can be the spread. And last of all, let's just do a different variable. We're going to do the color. I think the color was going to be, let me just double click on this. Yeah, so it's going to be 070714, and that's 25%. So let's go into the color, just copy and paste that in there, make that 25%. Okay, great, so that's set there. Just going into these values, so this is going to be the small. So let's just set up the small. So from memory, it was, okay, so let's have a look. So for the small, we've got 0, 4, 8, and 0. I see I've missed the blur out here, so let's just make that blur, and let's just make that spread. So there we go. So we got X, Y, blur, and spread. Okay, so we want to go up to our variables icon here, apply a variable, use our master unit. So the first one is 0. For the Y, that's going to be 4. So we'll apply 4. For the blur, that's going to be 8. So apply 8. And for the spread, it is 0. So that's good. So that's the first one. What I'm now going to do is click up here on the plus, and I'm going to add a new variable mode. So we've got different modes here. So what we're going to do, this is going to be our small, and this one is going to be our medium. And if I click again on add a new variable mode, this one is going to be large. So those are our different shadows, small, medium, and large. I have seen a lot of other designers out there add lots of control to their shadows, where you can customize what side the shadow is going to sit on, so the left, the right, the top, and the bottom. But I'm just going to keep it really, really simple. I'm going to do small, medium, large, and just customize the variables for each. And should we need those additional settings, we can always add them to the variables panel later. Okay, so there's a lot going on screen. Let me just close that. I'm going to click on medium. I'm going to open the effects panel. Let's just copy out what we need here. So we need 0. The Y is going to be 8. And the blur is going to be 16. Let's just have a look. The spread is still 0. We're still using the same color at 25%. And the large is going to be, let's click on large behind this panel. Go into the effects. So the X is 0. The Y is going to be 16. The blur is going to be 24. There we go. Spread is still 0, and we're using the same color, same percentage. Okay, I think that's good. We've got the variables set up for our shadows for the small, medium, and large. Let's just close the panel for a moment. So let's start with the small first of all. So if we click on small and we go into effects, what we need to do to begin with is we need to apply the variables to this first frame, and then we can see some additional options. Okay, so first of all, clicking on the position, I am seeing spacing here. So I wonder if we can just adjust that in the variables panel. Don't really want to be seeing my spacing. Let's just scroll down. Don't really want to see spacing. So let's just remove effects from now. I'm sure we can remove other elements here, but let's just close that. Go back here, click on my effects, bring up the effects panel. Let's click on variable. Okay, let's make this even more clear. Let's go back into variables, and I wonder if we can go to shadows. We just group that. I wonder if we can create a group, new group of selection. Can we just call these shadows? Okay, so they should be clustered under a group called shadows. So let's close that. Let's go back, click on small, click on the effects panel, drag the effects panel up, click on variables. Right, makes it a little bit clearer when we're using the panel here. So we've got our X value, we have our Y, we have our blur, we have the spread. What you have to do is click on this icon here for the color, and then we go to libraries, and I'm actually just going to scroll all the way down, and we've got an entry here for shadows. I'm going to click on color here, so it's using our shadows color, and now I'm going to close this box. Okay, so the small shadow is now using our variables that we've set up. what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete the medium and large here for a second. I'm going to click on this, I'm going to duplicate it, Command D. Let's rename this to medium, and I should probably rename the layer as well to medium. So now, because we've set up different modes, once you've applied one mode, you've got access to all the different modes. So now for medium, all I need to do is go to Appearance, click on this icon here, which is Apply Variable Mode, click on it, go to Shadows, and then I can access the small, or I can go to the medium. And now if we duplicate this again, I'm just going to rename this to large. Okay, we're also going to rename the layer so it's called large. You can also see in our layers that we've got little tags, and that's highlighting that we're using modes. What I'll do as well is I'll just select small there, and then it shows us we've got the small, medium, and in this case when I click on here, the large, and there we go. So this is how to use variables and modes for shadows. So we've got a small, medium, large, and it's really easy. Once you've applied, let me just drag that out. So once you've applied these variable modes once, you can then have access via the panel here, and you can just toggle through to the different shadows, through to the different settings, and it's really easy. And should you need to change those settings, you can just go into local variables and adjust the values in here. Okay, so let's just delete that. So I think that's a good start for our shadows. We've set up the variables, we've set up the modes for shadows. Let me just load up the panel again so you can see them here. Really easy to do. Like I say, there's lots of different ways to do this, and you can add even more control to shadows, but I just want to keep it simple. We'll just use small, medium, large, and we'll just use modes to be able to toggle between those different sizes. So let's close the panel out. Okay, so now we're done. Let's go to the Assets panel. Let's go to our icon here and go to Publish. So let's just document that we've added our shadow variables. Okay, seems good. Let's just go and have a double check. So we've added the variables for blur, color, spread, X and Y. And I've added a note up here. So added shadow variables to the file for large, medium and small. Let's click on Publish. And there we go. That's all done. We've now got shadow variables and shadow modes that we can use in our Figma files. Okay, that's it for this video. In the next video, we'll look at building a grid system for our desktop designs so we can ensure consistency with our page layouts going forward. Okay, that's it for this video. Thanks for getting to the end. Like and subscribe, add some comments, check out some other videos on my channel. Managed to get another item on the shelf, so that's good. Whether it works or not, I don't know, but that's another problem. So yeah, whatever you're doing, have a great week, and I will see you in the next video.